Thunder on the tarmac. Before the first light of dawn reaches the Nevada desert, before the mountains on the horizon begin to glow beneath the rising sun, Nellis Air Force Base is already awake. In the darkness, runway lights stretch across the desert floor like a chain of distant stars. The air is cool and still. A faint breeze moves across the tarmac, carrying with it the smell of jet fuel and sun-baked concrete. At first glance, everything appears quiet, but beneath the silence, a carefully choreographed operation is already unfolding. This is Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada, home to the United States Air Force Weapons School. A place where combat aviation is studied, perfected, and practiced every single day. For decades, Nellis has served as one of the most important military aviation training centers in the world. Here, fighter pilots sharpen their skills against realistic threats. Here, tactics are developed that may someday be used in real combat operations. And here, some of the most capable aircraft ever built prepare to take flight. Among them stands an American legend, the F-16 Fighting Falcon. Sleek, agile, deadly. A fighter aircraft that has served at the forefront of air power for nearly half a century. But before this machine can dominate the skies, it must first pass through a process that is far less glamorous. A process built on discipline, precision, and attention to detail. Every mission begins with inspection. Every flight begins with trust. And every ounce of trust must be earned. As the eastern horizon slowly brightens, maintenance crews begin moving across the flight line. Their movements are deliberate. Their routine is familiar. Many have performed these same procedures hundreds, even thousands of times. Yet they approach each aircraft with the same level of focus, because military aviation has no room for complacency. A single missed detail can have serious consequences. A loose panel, a damaged sensor, a foreign object hidden from view. Any one of these could transform a routine training sortie into an emergency. For that reason, every aircraft undergoes a comprehensive pre-flight inspection before it ever leaves the ground. One crew chief approaches a waiting Falcon. The aircraft towers above the concrete, illuminated by the soft glow of floodlights. Its canopy reflects the fading stars overhead. For a moment, the fighter appears almost alive. Waiting. Patient. Ready. The inspection begins at the nose. Every sensor is examined. Every visible surface is checked for damage. The pitot tube, responsible for measuring airspeed during flight, receives special attention. A small obstruction could provide inaccurate information to the pilot. And inaccurate information at high speed can be dangerous. The inspection continues methodically around the aircraft. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is assumed. This process has been refined through decades of operational experience. Lessons learned through thousands of missions and millions of flight hours. The crew chief moves beneath the fuselage. Hydraulic systems are inspected. Access panels are checked. Landing gear components are examined carefully. Each system plays a vital role in keeping the aircraft safe and mission capable. Then attention turns toward one of the most critical areas of the aircraft: the engine intake. Beneath the fuselage sits a large opening leading directly toward the heart of the Falcon. Inside is the Pratt & Whitney F-100 turbofan engine, one of the most powerful engines ever installed in a single-engine fighter aircraft. At maximum power, this engine can generate nearly 30,000 pounds of thrust. Enough power to propel the F-16 beyond twice the speed of sound. But despite its incredible performance, the engine possesses one significant vulnerability: foreign object debris. Known throughout aviation simply as OD, a loose screw, a forgotten tool, even a small piece of gravel. Any foreign object entering the intake can cause severe engine damage within seconds. Using a flashlight, the crew chief carefully examines the intake. Every visible surface is inspected. Every potential hazard is eliminated. Only when the aircraft passes inspection can preparations continue. Meanwhile, across the base, another team is preparing for the mission ahead. Inside the operations building, pilots gather around briefing tables. Maps cover the walls. Weather reports are reviewed, mission objectives are discussed, communication procedures are confirmed, emergency actions are rehearsed. Every aspect of the upcoming flight receives careful attention. Because combat aviation begins long before takeoff, success depends on preparation. The briefing room serves as the foundation for every mission. Pilots study routes, analyze potential hazards, review airspace restrictions, and discuss tactical scenarios they may encounter during the flight. The complexity of these briefings reflects the environment in which they operate. Nellis is surrounded by one of the largest military training areas in the United States, the Nevada Test and Training Range. Covering millions of acres, it provides an environment where aircrews can train against simulated threats in conditions designed to replicate modern combat. Electronic warfare systems mock enemy air defenses, aggressor aircraft. All are integrated into training missions to create realistic scenarios. The goal is simple: prepare pilots for the realities of modern warfare before they ever face them in combat. After the briefing concludes, pilots gather their equipment: flight helmets, oxygen masks, survival gear, mission materials, everything required for the sortie ahead. The walk toward the aircraft begins. Outside, the desert sun has finally risen above the horizon. Golden light spreads across the flight line. Rows of fighter aircraft shine beneath the morning sky. The pilots approach their assigned jets. Waiting beside each aircraft is a crew chief. The relationship between pilot and crew chief is one of trust. One flies the aircraft. The other ensures it is ready to fly. Both understand the importance of their responsibilities. Upon arrival, maintenance records are reviewed. Every inspection, every repair, every maintenance action. Nothing is overlooked. The pilot then conducts a personal walk-around inspection. Although the aircraft has already been examined by maintenance personnel, the final responsibility belongs to the pilot. If something appears questionable, the flight does not proceed. Safety comes first, always. The pilot slowly circles the aircraft. Control surfaces are examined. Wing structures are inspected. Landing gear components receive another look. The process may seem repetitive, but repetition creates reliability. Reliability creates confidence. And confidence is essential when operating a machine capable of flying at extraordinary speeds. The F-16 is unlike many earlier fighter aircraft. Rather than relying on traditional mechanical control systems, it utilizes advanced fly-by-wire technology. Every movement of the control stick is translated into electronic signals. Those signals are processed by flight control computers. The computers then command the aircraft's control surfaces. This system provides remarkable agility. It allows the F-16 to maneuver with precision that would have been impossible in previous generations of fighter aircraft. Yet even advanced technology requires verification. Every component must function exactly as intended. The inspection continues toward the landing gear. Bright red safety pins remain installed. These pins prevent accidental landing gear retraction while the aircraft is on the ground. Before flight, each pin must be removed. The procedure is simple, but its importance cannot be overstated. A forgotten pin could create serious problems after takeoff. The crew chief removes each safety pin carefully. The pilot verifies the count. Every pin is accounted for. Every step is confirmed. No shortcuts, no assumptions. As the morning progresses, activity across the flight line intensifies. Ground crews move efficiently between aircraft. Equipment is repositioned. Final preparations are completed. The atmosphere is professional, focused, purposeful. because everyone understands what comes next. Soon, the silence of dawn will disappear. Soon, the aircraft resting quietly on the ramp will awaken. Engines will roar to life. The ground will tremble, and the sky above the Nevada desert will once again belong to the Fighting Falcons. But first, one final step remains. The pilots climb toward their cockpits. The mission is about to begin, and the sound of jet engines is only moments away. The moment has arrived. The inspections are complete. The mission briefing is finished. The aircraft has been cleared for flight. Now all attention turns toward the cockpit. One by one, pilots climb the boarding ladders and settle into their seats. Crew chiefs assist with final connections. Oxygen hoses are secured. Communication cables are attached. Harnesses are tightened. Every connection matters. Because once airborne, the pilot will be operating in an environment where mistakes can happen in fractions of a second. Inside the cockpit, the F-16 reveals one of its greatest strengths. Everything is designed around efficiency. Critical controls are placed within immediate reach. The concept is known as HOTAS, hands-on throttle and stick. In combat, a pilot may need to communicate, maneuver, track targets, deploy countermeasures, and engage threats simultaneously. The aircraft is built to make those actions possible without ever removing a hand from the primary controls. As switches begin to move and displays illuminate, the cockpit slowly comes to life. Digital screens fill with information. Navigation systems initialize. Flight computers conduct self-checks. The aircraft is waking up. Outside, the crew chief takes position near the nose. The pilot signals readiness. The engine start sequence begins. At first, there is only a faint sound. A high-pitched whine slowly rises above the morning air. The jet fuel starter is spinning. Deep inside the aircraft, mechanical components begin accelerating. The sound grows louder, higher, sharper. Then suddenly, ignition. A deep rumble echoes across the flight line. The engine comes alive. The whine transforms into a powerful roar that vibrates through the concrete beneath the aircraft. Heat shimmers behind the exhaust nozzle. The Falcon is awake. The Pratt & Whitney F-100 engine continues to accelerate toward idle power. Within moments, thousands of moving components are operating in perfect synchronization. Temperatures stabilize. Pressure readings settle. Engine instruments confirm normal operation. The aircraft is ready for the next phase. While the engine runs, crew chiefs perform one final inspection. Their eyes scan every surface. Hydraulic systems, fuel lines, control surfaces. Anything unusual would immediately halt the mission, but today everything appears perfect. The crew chief steps forward. A thumbs-up signal is given. The pilot returns the gesture. The ladder is removed. The aircraft is officially ready to move. Slowly, the brakes are released. The Falcon begins rolling forward. Taxi operations may appear simple, but they require constant attention. Unlike a car, visibility directly ahead of the aircraft is limited. Pilots rely on careful steering, precise brake control, and guidance from ground personnel. The aircraft moves steadily toward the runway. Behind it, additional Falcons follow in sequence. Their navigation lights flash rhythmically in the morning light. Together, they form a procession of combat, aircraft preparing for flight. As they approach the runway, the pilots pause at the arming area. This is the final checkpoint before departure. Weapons specialists conduct last-minute inspections. Training munitions are examined. Safety devices are removed. Procedures are verified. Even during routine training missions, standards remain identical to those used during combat operations. Every action is performed with precision. Every step follows established procedures. Because habits developed during training become habits relied upon during war. Minutes later, clearance arrives from the control tower. The runway is open. The mission is cleared for departure. The lead aircraft slowly turns onto the runway centerline. Ahead lies nearly 2 miles of concrete stretching into the desert. The pilot brings the aircraft to a stop. For a brief moment, everything becomes still. Then the throttle begins moving forward. Engine power increases. The roar intensifies. The aircraft strains against the brakes. Engine instruments are checked one final time. Everything remains within limits. The pilot pushes the throttle beyond the detent. Afterburner ignites. Instantly, a brilliant stream of fire erupts from the exhaust. The transformation is dramatic. What was moments ago a stationary machine suddenly becomes a force of immense power. The acceleration is violent. The aircraft surges forward. Speed builds almost immediately. 100 knots, 120, 140. The runway races beneath the wheels. Within seconds, the nose begins to rise. The pilot gently rotates the aircraft, and then the wheels leave the ground. The Falcon is airborne. Landing gear retracts almost immediately. The aircraft continues climbing at an astonishing rate. From the ground, it appears as though the fighter is being pulled directly into the sky. The afterburner flame remains visible behind the aircraft. A brilliant spear of blue and orange fire. In mere moments, the Falcon becomes a distant shape against the Nevada sky. A second aircraft follows, then another. Each departure is equal, allied, dramatic, equally powerful, equally impressive. Within minutes, the formation disappears into the vast training airspace surrounding Nellis. For the next hour, the aircraft will execute complex training scenarios designed to prepare pilots for modern combat. High-speed maneuvering, formation flying, simulated engagements, tactical decision-making. Every mission serves a purpose. Every sortie contributes to readiness. Above the desert, pilots constantly evaluate information. Fuel status, aircraft performance, weather conditions, threat simulations, communication with other aircraft. The workload is relentless. Success depends on training, discipline, and experience. Far below, the Nevada landscape stretches endlessly toward the horizon. Mountains cast long shadows across the desert floor. Dry lakebeds shimmer in the distance. And above it all, the Fighting Falcons continue their mission. Eventually, however, every sortie must come to an end. Fuel reserves decrease. Objectives are completed. It is time to return home. Back at Nellis Air Force Base, air traffic controllers prepare for recovery operations. Ground crews stand ready. The flight line awaits the aircraft's return. Soon, small shapes become visible against the sky. The Falcons are coming home. As they approach the airfield, pilots begin configuring their aircraft for landing. Speed is reduced. Altitude decreases. Checklists are completed. Unlike takeoff, landing demands a different type of precision. There is little room for error. Every movement must be smooth, controlled, deliberate. The lead aircraft approaches the runway at high speed before executing a maneuver known as the overhead brake. In a steep banking turn, the aircraft rapidly slows and positions itself for landing. The maneuver is efficient, precise, and unmistakably military. Landing gear extends, control surfaces adjust. The aircraft settles into its final approach. From the cockpit, the pilot monitors angle of attack, altitude, and alignment with the runway. Every reference point matters. Every correction is subtle. The runway threshold approaches rapidly. The aircraft descends lower, lower, closer, closer. Then, touchdown. The main wheels contact the runway. A brief puff of tire smoke rises into the air. The nose wheel settles gently onto the concrete. A drag chute deploys from the tail. The parachute blossoms instantly behind the aircraft, helping reduce speed during the landing roll. The Falcon slows safely and exits the runway. Moments later, another aircraft lands. Then another. Each pilot repeats the same sequence with remarkable consistency. Training, experience, discipline, the foundations of military aviation. As the aircraft taxi back toward the flight line, their engines gradually reduce power. Ground crews guide them into parking positions. The mission is complete. One by one, engines shut down. The roar fades. The vibration disappears, and silence slowly returns to the desert. Pilots climb from their cockpits. Crew chiefs immediately begin post-flight inspections. Maintenance records are updated. Aircraft conditions are documented. Preparations for the next mission have already begun, because at Nellis, the cycle never truly ends. Inspection, preparation, launch, recovery, repeat, day after day, year after year. It is a rhythm that has shaped generations of military aviators, a tradition built upon professionalism and excellence. The F-16 Fighting Falcon may someday leave frontline service. New aircraft will eventually assume its role. Technology will continue to evolve. Capabilities will continue to advance. But the principles that define military aviation will remain unchanged. Attention to detail, commitment to mission, dedication to excellence. And as long as aircraft continue to fly from this desert base, those principles will endure. As the sun begins to set over Nevada, golden light washes across the flight line. The Falcons stand quietly beside the runway. A mission's complete, their crews preparing for tomorrow. The desert grows calm once more, yet somewhere in the distance, another engine begins to spool. Another mission is about to begin. Another chapter in the story of American air power is about to unfold. And here at Nellis Air Force Base, the thunder on the tarmac never truly ends.